A country splitting in two and it's going to create a new continent about 250 million years ago. You could pretty easily walk from Australia to North America, with a pit stop in Antarctica. This was when the Earth was one continent called Pangaea that slowly broke apart and spread out to form the continents we know today. These continents aren't going to stay in place forever, however. A scientist has warned that one is being torn in two at a pace far quicker than expected. Will any continent split in two one day? Yes. While how the Earth will look in millions of years can be hard to predict, scientists already know that Africa is splitting. For one, this would create a new ocean that divides two continents. The Earth is one big jigsaw puzzle. Yet this is one tricky puzzle to put together, as the pieces made of the planet's crust and squidgy-ish mantle, called tectonic plates, are always on the move. As they pull apart, crash together and slide past each other, these plates irritate volcanoes and cause earthquakes. Eastern Africa is perched on the Somalia Plate, which has been pulling away from the rest of the continent on the Nubian Plate for about 25,000 years. Literal groundbreaking research found in 2012. Geologists say that the colossal, 2,000-mile-long fissure slicing through southeastern Africa has been widening by 6-7 millimeters per year. They call this tectonic plate boundary zone the East African Rift Valley, EAR, part of the wider East African Rift System. The valley is so pronounced it's visible from space. Once the split happens, Somalia, Kenya, Tanzania and some parts of Ethiopia would form a new continent separated by the world's sixth ocean. Ken McDonald, a professor at the University of California, Santa Barbara, told Mail Online that this new region would be called the Nubian continent. What might happen is that the waters of the Indian Ocean would come in and flood what is now the East African Rift Valley. She said, there's slippage and faults creating earthquake activity, along with visible signs of active volcanoes. When will this happen? Geologists have spent the last few years trying to work out exactly when, where and why the split is happening. The Geological Society of London says of Africa's severing, today the EAR remains above sea level, however in the future, as extension continues along the Rift Valley will sink lower and lower, eventually allowing ocean waters to flood into the basin. If rifting continues, new basaltic oceanic crust may form along the center of the rift, producing a new narrow ocean basin with its own mid-ocean ridge between the Nubian and Somalian plates. Researchers have long suspected that this process, which could end in Madagascar being ripped into two islands, would take tens of millions of years. But McDonald said this may happen in only 1 to 5 million years. In the human life scale, you won't be seeing many changes. You'll be feeling earthquakes, you'll be seeing volcanoes erupt, but you won't see the ocean intrude in our lifetimes, she added. Why is this happening? While all this activity is happening under people's feet, parts of Africa are already feeling the effects. In 2005, a 35-mile fissure yawned apart in Ethiopia. About 13 years later in Kenya, another fissure opened amid heavy rainfall. Experts say the continent rift is being driven by the ejection of superhot rock spat out by the planet's core. All this molten spit up is swishing around and moving the plates around. Others have suggested that the lithosphere, a layer of the Earth's mantle that floats on the more fluid-like and weaker asthenosphere, could be to blame. You can think of it like an iceberg floating in the ocean. The African superplume, a swollen slab of mantle beneath southwest Africa, is stretching this layer very thinly, so it is sinking into the soupy rock beneath it, pushing the plates apart.